Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Miller, and this is the Gaming Dialogue News. A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants, and everyone watching us on different platforms worldwide. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being our very dedicated community members. Thank you for supporting the channel and everything we do here. That also includes charitable fundraising. Today is Friday, the 3rd of May of 2024, and in London suburbs we are having some dreadful weather. It's been raining, it's been cold, we had some hail, and it just really was not a kind of day where you want to be spending your time outside. And I had to go outside early on because, like I told you, there have been some problems here with my headset where, in fact, I was not able to do my Destiny streams and present them to the same standards like before. So I had to go to my local CX and try to get a new headset, which would be an adequate replacement with high quality mic, and find a Razer headset, which I think is going to be adequate, at least for the time being. I really wanted to get one of the very best ones, and that is Turtle Beach Stealth Pro, and unfortunately they didn't have it in my local CX, so I have to be going to some other places London-wide to get that one in order to make sure that the audio is absolutely tip-top. I got really annoyed with the fact that for some reason my mic went the other way, and it just didn't seem to be delivering anymore. And I noticed that in the recent streams that we were actually doing as tests here with Destiny 1 and 2. So that is going to be the remedy. So when I went out, it was really cold and windy, and it's dreaded rain, so I really tried to get back here as soon as possible. And you know what? I have been seriously delayed by additional technical problems because the stream should have started a bit earlier. For whatever reason, OBS was not connecting to the service, and I spent quite some time trying to resolve this, and eventually the connection came back all by itself, and therefore we are here today on Friday, the 3rd of May. And I have plenty to tell you, because I'm still suffering from that dreadful ear infection, and it is very weird to be able to talk and hear yourself just from inside of your head. And I've not had this experience frequently before, and in this instance it's just affecting both of my ears. So it's not just one ear, but like two of them together, and that is of great concern. So when I talk, it's almost like echoey type of experience within my head, and I'll try to do my best, but you know, it is something that I have to keep in mind if things certainly decide to go south, as indeed it's been the case earlier today with the tech side of things here, with my podcast and everything I do here with Twitch streams. Anyway, how's everybody? How are you guys doing? Are you also sustaining this dreaded weather, and are you having perhaps a bit of sunshine somewhere in the country or elsewhere? If so, tell us. I've heard that in Europe they are having already some very hot summer days. I heard that from one of the neighbours who was visiting the relatives on the continent, and we've gone the other way, and it's been very cold at night and a lot of rain. I've seen some flooding in the Midlands, and you know, just literally really wet, not the kind of weather that you want to be having as you're approaching that sort of late spring in May. Anyway, I've had quite a lot of interesting activities yesterday, and like I told you, I've been spending quite a bit of time dedicating my gameplay to various indie games, and we have seen in the course of this week that ID at Xbox was giving us a wonderful selection of almost 20 of their new projects that will be arriving to our consoles later in the year, and I have been truly delighted to have experienced some of these. So they really directed me towards the games I quite liked from before, and I will be telling you what games I have been downloading and then playing on my consoles. Let me just bear with me. Oh yeah, that's fine. I want to make sure that everything was up and running as expected, and I really had a lot of entertainment by just selecting some of these that arrived to Xbox Game Pass of late. and very many of these have been indeed on the Xbox Game Pass for a little while, but I think I've had no chance to really look at them in depth, and therefore I selected 20 which indeed are now fully on display, and have been playing them bit by bit. Last night even, I think 5 or 6 of them. And I will tell you what the games were, and I'll actually introduce the games separately one by one. The vast majority of them were excellent, and I thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and played them for about half hour, 40 minutes each. And generally found them to be very, very engaging, highly entertaining, and in some cases even better than expected. There's one game that turned out to be really weird, and I'll tell you a bit about it in a second. So the games I played yesterday were A Short Hike. I think I talked about this game a little bit on my podcast during the last couple of days. I wanted to try Ravenlock, but that's already gone from the Game Pass. Then there was Citizen Sleeper, and then Chicory, A Colourful Tale. After that, Celeste. Cassette Beasts, the game I wanted to play for so long, and it turned out to be even better than expected. And then to polish it all off, I had a lengthier session with Open Roads, the game that arrived on the Game Pass of late, and kind of a recent inclusion, but has been really talked about quite a bit on their podcast, and I've seen some postings elsewhere on various internet gaming hubs and social networks. So really very eager to try the game. I've done that yesterday. I'll tell you a bit about every single one of them, and just there's another very important thing I need to tell you before we crack on with the in-depth look and analysis of those indie titles. Well, firstly, as you know, this channel is supporting charitable fundraising, and this is what I've been doing here on the channel right from the start. And in recent times we had streamlined the charitable fundraising connected with Tiltify, and presently I am trying to raise the funds for our British-based charity called Mind. And this is a charity that helps people who are experiencing mental health issues or any form of psychological pressure or difficulty, and they're run by professionals and volunteers, and you can approach them at any time, make an appointment, talk about your difficulties, and find a lot of help, be it on the emotional or practical level. So this charity is extremely important to people living in our communities, as we're experiencing a lot of stress related to the high cost of living, economic crisis, the kind of the situation as it is today, and really affecting every single individual, be it a gamer or any other citizen alike. And we want to be raising the profile, first of all, for Mind, as I feel that our charities have been neglected during the last decade, and the importance to which we are connected to these charities, and the reasons as to why we need to be investing and using them at certain times is being, I guess, depleted in the media coverage, and we don't see that much about the process of fundraising or anything which is linked with the way they operate. So this channel and my community of gamers have been spending quite a bit of time looking at what we can do, to help. And last year we had a campaign dedicated to Bungie Foundation and St. Jude's Hospital, and we had raised more than $1 million, which was a fantastic success. I contributed with our community and our fundraising with 100, but there was quite a few of us collecting 100, and it all went up to 1 million, just a bit more, but over $1 million of the overall donations within 1 week. So we really are going to be trying to do exactly the same thing for them, for the Bungie Foundation, in June, once they kick off with their regular annual event. But I wanted to say that the campaign that I'm running for Mind Charity is going to be here until the end of this month, and you can simply chip in with any shillings and pence that you have, and therefore support those people in our communities who are the most vulnerable and those who need the assistance the most. So absolutely, please enter my About page, click on the panels, and then donate. Donate as little or as much as you would like, and every single contribution will be greatly appreciated by myself, by the community, by obviously the charity, and indeed those who are the service users. So remember that. In addition to that, I need to tell you that this month we have the whole month dedicated to mental health awareness. So May of 2024 is the Mental Health Awareness Month, and indeed we are spending we are spending a lot of time trying to gather our thoughts and connect with charities and people vulnerable in our communities, and through various podcasts, online posting, social networking, messaging, or generally just trying to really pay attention to the need which is present out there amongst those who are very vulnerable. In the course of this month, we'll run lots of different sessions here dedicated to gaming and mental health, and you can join in at any time and just bring us a message and bring it live on there. You'll have to be subscribing to the channel rules and everything else, but I'm kind of looking forward to have that degree of interactivity here during my podcasts and various other Twitch streams. And we just want to make sure that everybody becomes a bit more aware of as to why it's so important to be respecting those who are suffering from mental health issues, and as to why we have got to be investing and donating a bit more in order to support our charities. So one way or the other, it will combine all these issues and all these ideas, and we are going to be talking about this live on air. So let me just see what we have here. So like I said, this is the month that we it's the Mental Health Awareness Month, May of 2024, and we will be dedicating quite a bit of our time here in the course of our sessions to various discussions that are linking video gaming community with charitable fundraising and everything else which is related. Coming back to this, I just want to say that I have received several messages from our various participants here who are asking what is the best way to donate, and I can certainly tell you it's very easy. You can either donate directly through Tiltify, or you can simply go to my About page, click on those panels indicating that they are saying something about charities, and then you will get the link from Tiltify where the funds then can be donated and they will be received immediately by Mind. So you donate, the funds go directly to Mind from Tiltify. I'm just a broker, I'm just a person who is doing the promotion and indeed doing the charitable fundraising here live on Twitch. So I don't have anything much to do with the revenue. It's all safe, sound and secure, internationally verified, and Tiltify is a company that does this internationally. They provide services for this sort of activity, i.e. charitable fundraising for many charities that operate around the globe. So you can really click on the link and get all the information and get fully involved. Right, so coming back to this week, which is the week that basically made us enter this May of 24, which is the Mental Health Awareness Month. And right at the beginning, we had a good presentation from Xbox team on the ID section. ID at Xbox is a department that is promoting, producing, creating many independent games, which eventually emerge through Xbox forums, and most frequently, quite a few of them pop up on the Game Pass. And like I said to you, 6 of those which I mentioned, I will repeat them again. We'll start with A Short Hike, and we are then progressing to Citizen Sleeper, Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Celeste, Cassette Beasts, and then eventually we get to Open Roads. All of those I have been playing yesterday, and that was in view of the presentation. One of the best presentations on Monday for me was coming from Dodd Nod, and it was dedicated to the new game, which I'm hotly anticipating and very curious to see whether it is going to be as similar or as different to Life is Strange. And all of that we talked about during the last few days on my podcast here. And just enter any of those news bulletins and you'll get all the information on some of these priceless clips and bits of information which came from the studio, and that kept us really in high suspense, and we are just really so impatient to see when that date will pop up with the actual release of the game. So my gaming this week was dedicated to the indies, and all of them except Citizen Sleeper, I have to say, grabbed me. They provide me with absolutely wonderful, tremendous type of experience, which was highly enjoyable, highly interactive, and all of them, although very simple in the visuals, were providing me with exciting gameplay, with good storytelling, excellent dialogue, very funny, highly humorous interactions, and a good way to which I connected with some of the characters that were venturing out there in those games. So first of all, I'll tell you a bit about Short Hike. So this is an adventure video game, and it came from Canada, and one of the very popular indie game designers, Adam Robinson Yu. He also is known as Adam Grew. Created it, and it is an open world exploration game in which you as the player will be tasked with reaching the summits of a mountain in order to get a cell phone reception. Because guess what? Right at the bottom, you can't really use your mobile phone, and you come across all kinds of obstacles which you need to resolve. There are two birds that decide to depart from the home city. They go to countryside, and then they're experiencing all sorts of challenges due to the fact they're no longer in their own environment. And it did receive a lot of positive reviews from critics, really praised for its relaxing gameplay, freedom of exploration, flying mechanics, while some people also criticized the short length and the handling of some story elements. And most importantly, it did win a reward, which is Seamus McNally Grand Prize at 2020 Independent Games Festival. And you can jog, swim, climb, glide, you can do all sorts of things, and you are a kind of a strange, very sympathetic, very sweet black anthropomorphic bird. And you know, it's just really the bird's called Claire. Just nearly forgot about that. And there's a plot attached to the story, to the game, and you have this Claire, a young bird, spending her days off by traveling to Hawke Peak Provincial Park, and then her Aunt May works as a ranger, and there's all kinds of things happening in the game, but just basically, as an open world activity, you will be going to various beaches, you'll climb peaks, you'll swim a bit, you walk a bit, you collect different inventory, and generally you will be finding yourself challenged by some of the obstacles. But what I really liked was all the characters I managed to meet in various parts of the open world, and they were so funny, and they were asking me to do certain tasks which sometimes were a bit tricky. It did take me a bit of time to collect shells and a few other things, but you know, it's a kind of a feel-good game. You do it and you feel, it's interesting. Maybe we need to take a hike. Maybe we need to go to countryside and have a bit of a respite from everyday ills in our city. And, you know, it's just connecting real life to those lovely birds and everything that they do there. So for myself, thoroughly enjoyable, highly recommended. The visuals are also quite advanced. If we consider that the game looks a bit retro, but on the other hand, you will find the activity thoroughly enjoyable and just a feel-good game, a bit like the games that we talked about a little while back here on my podcast. And generally, I would highly recommend it to everyone. I played it already for about a couple of hours, and a short game, but you know, accessible instantly on the Game Pass, and you will not need to be waiting for too long for that to arrive to your console, as it is only about 1 or 2 gigs in size, and so very, very easy download. So you know, what are you waiting for? Try that A Short Hike. It's the best recommendation for one of the best indie games that came to the Game Pass. And after exploring it for a few nights in a row, I've gone to Citizen Sleeper, which indeed has been highly acclaimed, and I had sort of high expectations about it, but it's a very, very tricky, very weird type of concept, which you are controlling the character by the use of dice. And I really, after playing it for maybe an hour, couldn't work out the strategy to which I need to pursue the character in order to move forward. So it's a bit complicated, and it felt a bit like a game where you were reading a sci-fi novel. A lot of debates, lots of discussions between different characters who are not seen on the screen, and yeah, I was quite curious about what the idea behind the game was. So when I looked it up, I realized that this was a role-playing game from 22, and the company called Jump Over Age created it, and it was published by Fellow Traveller for literally every platform in existence, and it was also released for consoles, PlayStation 4 and 5 in March of 2023. So weirdly, in order to progress the plot, survive and escape DI, which is the enemy, the player needs to be rolling a number of dice each in-game day. So these dice are then placed into different tasks where high numbers generally indicate better outcome. So low numbers generally are useful on the day circle outside of the station, and that will be allowing the player to gather intelligence on the activities of the various opposing factions. And high numbers will be generally leading to better outcomes throughout the rest of the game, and the player must constantly work in order to feed themselves and care for the degrading robot body, which requires specialized materials to upkeep. Well, the player character is called a Sleeper, and this is a human whose mind has been digitized and has been put into a robot body to be controlled by the SNR Corporation. So the player Sleeper has escaped some sort of servitude on a freighter and has arrived at a space station called the Eye, where they fight for both survival and freedom. So the player also meets a number of different people and who represent different factions and interests, and the game features multiple endings depending on the choices of the player. Give me a second. I'm having a bit of problems with my voice as well, in addition to that ear infection, so it is really affecting my concentration abilities, but there we are. So really, to tell you the truth, the game did not grab me. It just felt like walking into a strange graphic novel where I had to be reading many articles about different characters, and then I was also offered some options, but it just seemed very confusing. I found myself being baffled by what was the next thing to do, and then eventually I lost patience. So I'm not sure whether this would be your kind of thing, but a game that requires a lot of thinking, a lot of attention, and a lot of reading. So if you are into FPS or Battle Royale, well, that's definitely not for you. But if you are into a meticulous gaming, which will be incorporating a style, it's not really point and click, but turn-based strategy games, where with a lot of thinking and reading, then and then planning out and mapping out what you will be doing next, taking some decisions that will be consequential, this is definitely going to be a game for you. And I have to say that many people have been giving it very, very high rankings, and it did receive generally favorable reviews everywhere, and praised particularly the written material, the writing, the synopsis of the game. And then they also said that the characters have been kind of well drawn and well researched and easy to engage with. Well, I didn't personally find that, but I guess this is for people who play strategy games and for the fans of sci-fi. And also Eurogamer gave it a very high ranking, and one of the writers said that the game's mechanics were very sort of engaging, and they were creating wonderful elegance in many positive reviews. So, as I said, a short hike for me, delightful. A Citizen Sleeper, not really for me. I would say slightly disappointing in the way I'm being brought in. That's the biggest problem, because I'd be quite interested, but actually it was a lot of material initially which I had to read. Some of it I did not really digest, and therefore it was appearing to be somewhat confusing. Right, the third game, which was again delightful, and you had to do a lot of painting in it, is called Chicory, A Colorful Tale. Again, accessible on Xbox through the Game Pass instantly. Again, a small game in terms of the size. You'll download it in no time if you're on fast internet. And this is an adventure video game, and the indie developer Greg Lobanov created it and also published by Finji. Released for all platforms in June 21 and also for Nintendo. And the game features a small dog with a magical paintbrush. And this paintbrush is used to color the game world. So you walk around and you're literally painting the world that you live in. And it's a very enjoyable game. It's a bit tricky at times when you are being slightly restricted within what you can paint within a frame, or within something which is on your screen. And sometimes you're just painting everything in one color. But the gameplay and the activities are very enjoyable, very captivating. I have to say, I was very surprised. Why would I want to be doing that? Well, why would I be wanting to spend my time walking around with a brush and then doing some cleaning, doing some painting, doing some dotting? But actually, the way they created it is incredibly engaging, and you are grabbed from the minute one. And you know, you just love the character and you keep doing it. So it is, like I said, an adventure role-playing video game, and you have these small animals that are really leading you through the whole story, and then you will have to be exploring some areas which are black and white, and then you can have the brush, and you can have a small and big one, and then these brushes can be also solving some environmental puzzles. So during the game, you'll be gaining some new abilities. And for instance, initially you can just walk, later you can jump, then you can swim through the paint, then later you're unlocking different kinds of different abilities which will give you a capacity to be swimming up walls, and you can go up and down and doing all kinds of things. And then you can also go towards waterfalls and do things there. And they have boss fights, and you have combat mechanics, and you have like a special ability where you're dodging projectiles in a bullet hell state, and then use the brush in order to damage the boss where they have like dark negative color filter. So really altogether a very interesting, very novel concept that really for myself was highly entertaining. Thoroughly enjoyed it and recommend Chicory to everyone. Yet again, I just tell you that the game was released a couple of years ago, and you can get it on Xbox Game Pass. Game Pass is catering for many excellent indie titles, and I can assure you that any of those have been very carefully selected and considered, and the vast majority will be thoroughly entertaining and very enjoyable for any kind of gameplay, as I guess the majority are also very family friendly, so you can do them with your friends or with your relatives or your mums and dads or your colleagues or literally everyone. I keep telling you more about this as I feel that indie games are grossly neglected in the industry, and we don't happen to see much coverage about some of them, and we do not have access to some of the information such as promotional activities or showcase events or anything of that sort, because they don't have enough. Well, you know, the budget is under the duress, and they don't have that many people working for them. And many of these companies, if they succeed with initial projects, get a lot of praise and eventually become involved with other bigger companies or become the big companies themselves, such as Bungie, BioWare, and Bethesda, and all the big, massive, big corporates that today create fantastic games. So remember, there is a process of evolution. And what's important is for everyone to be supporting those guys when they're really very small, in the same way as we're supporting people through charitable fundraising and I'd say charitable works altogether. The best way you can support is simply by subscribing to the Game Pass, and then, or directly purchasing those games. And then if you're on the Game Pass, you'll be able to access any of them on the subscription. And what's important is for you to download. Then when you download, you'll indicate you're interested, and other people who are monitoring, you know, the likes, the downloads, and the comments and views and everything else will decide whether this game or this developer is to be given extra support, i.e. extra funding, or being brought into some bigger picture to work with some other bigger developers and companies. And that's always very, very important and positive for them in order to grow, in order to become present in medias, in order to, first of all, be recognized as creative game makers and people who are going to be progressing towards better, bigger things in the future. This game in particular looks very simple. It's a bit like a very simple animated short film, but its gameplay and its style is definitely something that will grab you straight away, as well as the characters. I have to say, the characters are very lovable. So the next one I played yesterday was Celeste. And Celeste, again, is a platformer, and it's been developed and published by indie studio called Maddie Makes Games. And you will be controlling one girl called Madeline, and she is a young lady who is suffering from anxiety and depression. And in order to combat the problems, I mean, it's really a game that's very fitting, I guess, for what I said early on about supporting people who are vulnerable, and indeed doing it during the month of May, which is the Mental Health Awareness Month. And so she is going to be doing some climbing in order to combat the anxieties and all the other worries that she has. So, and that's called Celeste Mountain, right? Therefore, the game's called Celeste. So during a climb, she will be coming across lots of different characters, and including personification or the embodiment of her own self-doubt, which is known as Badaline rather than Madeline, right? And that Badaline is attempting to stop her from climbing the mountain. Generally, the graphics are, I'd say, of two kinds. One which is very basic, very retro style, and then you got the other that is a bit more advanced, but it's all about the story and it's all about the tasks. You need to climb, you need to do lots of different things in order to complete the game, and you will find that equally enjoyable. I thought the dialogue and the idea is definitely something that grabbed me, and I like the way I was needing to get certain skills in order to go forward. And you have like several things in there that will be of interest to you. I told you that the developers Maddie Thorson and Noel Berry participated in a game jam which they created a little while back for the Pico 8, and then Thorson, who was the producer, and Berry, who was the lead programmer, wanted to expand the Pico 8 game into a full release, which indeed was linked to their previous titles such as Starfall and also by Super Mario Bros. 3, which was released in 1988. And you have well, the idea to have minimal style gameplay and just generally very, very entertaining, very enjoyable. Also, it did receive quite a lot of praise from the critics, and some people called it a masterpiece. And considering this is a two-dimensional platform game, you control Madeline and you try to really complete all these different tasks. I mean, some of them are really difficult. I remember being a bit frustrated when I was moving forward, and eventually you walk away with the feeling of completion. You managed to complete a task that is otherwise very difficult. You learned a few skills, you tried it hard. You know, it's a game that requires a degree of perseverance. So after Celeste, I went to the game that caught my eye a little while back, and I expected quite a bit from it. It turned out to be probably the best among 6 I played yesterday. And the game, of course, is the one I talked about quite a bit here. It's called Cassette Beasts. And it's just delightful. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy, or if you are a fan of retro tapes and you want to have your tape recorders and the old ghetto blasters on which you are going to be able to play these rare archaeological finds. And I remember playing those years back, but there you are. For many people of today, this is almost like something from the Napoleonic era. And the whole game is connected with the use of tapes, and it really popularizes them, and it's opening up the whole horizon of ideas for younger generation about how things were in the past. But it's also a game that is based on kind of an RPG concept, and you had Byton Studio, which was involved in creation of the game and published by Raw Fury. So they released it on the PC in April 23, so it's about a year ago, and then released on other platforms, and inclusive of they're just waiting for it to be released on Android and iPhone. So they said that they were inspired by the Pokemon video game series, and then they were following the progress of the player as they basically transform into monsters as they use cassette player while trying to return to their home. So you're ordinary girls and boys, and then you use the cassette player and you turn into a big monster who is capable of fighting all the other ghouls which you will be coming across as you go through the wild. And I really loved it. I thought it was very funny, and it did have a bit of anime styled dialogue thrown in, which was humorous and delightful. Very good graphics, and generally lots of things to do. Quite a few monsters to meet, some tasks like collecting different items in the wild present throughout the game. So, you know, definitely very, very inspiring. And also, as it is a turn-based strategy type of activity, the battles you will have to master as you carry on. You become a monster and you'll be fighting another monster. So there are different tips and tricks through which you are going to be sort of a bit more powerful, and you will meet them randomly without any warning. So you better be on your toes. And at the same time, you can gain new monsters by recording enemy monsters during the battle. So you have to decide whether you're recording them or you're just playing the music and therefore enhancing your skills. So definitely a good open world, quite a few places to go, lots of things to collect, and generally good flavor, you know, a feel-good type of aura about the game, similar to a short trek and, you know, a short hike, I should say, not a short trek. And, you know, it's a bit like Spiritfarer. I talked about Spiritfarer a little while back. A game which you play in order to feel good about yourself and other people. And also a game that is giving you something of a gift, where you learn that being good to others is good, because don't do to others what you don't want them to do to you. So these are the games that really capture that very well. You will be rewarded for your good deeds. You will be gratified by being helpful and kind to others and enabling your companion to survive the monsters and walk through the wild and do everything that she was intending to do. So you're like a guardian protector, and you are definitely enjoying your time with your companion, as well as completing different tasks that are giving you a sense of strength. You become very potent, very strong, and indeed you then complete the whole game. And very good reception for it as well. 9 out of 10, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, coming from many different hubs. They include Rock Paper Shotgun and Eurogamer. Like Eurogamer said that they were linking it with Pokemon, and it was like a remix song that was better than the original, so giving it 10 out of 10 for that. And then you had Rock Paper Shotgun saying it is like a Pokemon game for adults, an evolutionary offshoot of the series, and they said all of the deviations from the standard Pokemon formula. That one I appreciate the most is that Cassette Beast isn't forced to cater to younger children. So actually it's a game for adults, although when you look at it you think it could be suited for children too, but it is not. And also its graphical and musical style are really highly captivating. Very many people are many people will be reminded of certain tracks and certain tapes they've had in the past, but I think for the members of the younger generation, it's a connecting point between the old days of recording music on tapes and then today, present and age, where we just simply DL everything to your devices, be it your Android phones or your consoles. And then the last game I played yesterday, probably for the, let's say, for a greater length, is Open Roads. And I'm sure you come across Open Roads on various forums, as it's been talked about by many developers and critics. It's been in development for a little while, and Xbox in particular had given it quite a bit of publicity. A game that is a mixture of adventure, of mystery thriller, and point and click. And anyone who loved the old PC point and click games will find Open Roads to be very, very exciting and thoroughly satisfying. So Open Roads team created it, and it's been published by Annapurna. You will be familiar with them. Wonderful developers, and we enjoyed many of the games over the years, and also released on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox, and no wonder they released it on all these consoles and on Nintendo. Very easy to play. You know, you're traveling, for instance, you can be playing it when you are in a coach or plane or anywhere, and a very, very good story. And they have two actors who are the protagonists, a mother and a daughter. Kerry Russell and Caitlin Dever are the ones. And I think I like the game better than some of the critics. I'm a bit surprised with some of the harsh comments I've seen yesterday after researching it a bit. This is a bit like a walking simulator. You walk around and you play the character called Des, and then you are inspecting various objects in the environment, which is the old house where they used to live, or they're just about to depart from it in view of her grandmother's death. And then when you find certain items like tiny little photographs, newspapers, clippings, brushes, sculptures, they sort of make the protagonist curious about her grandmother and what she was like in the younger days. and therefore you're being asked, well, you're being driven to ask your mother certain questions. So you're unraveling family secrets, and then you have a small dialogue tree, and then from there you'll be choosing certain options, and it's just really the classical type of style of gameplay which we've seen in so many PC games. And then at times you will be also triggering off future conversations, and some areas in your local environment can be locked, and then you need to be, I guess, walking around a bit to find how to get over the obstacles and or get access to particular sections like loft or basement, etc. So really you have the main character called Tess, and she's helping a single mother, Opal, to clear out the home in Michigan. And sadly, Opal's mother, Helen, passed away. Heart is sold. And then when you go to the attic, you find a hidden compartment with a suitcase, has a small key, a postcard, and then there's a message there coming from an unnamed man who implies that they had a romantic relationship after her husband died. I should say this is a bit of a spoiler, so I shouldn't tell you more. But you could see the story just unravels. You're discovering family secrets by going through the old stuff before the items are sold in an auction, and therefore you get more and more engaged with the story and everything that was happening in the family. They released it at 2020. No, I beg your pardon. They promoted the game in 2020, and then the game was released. Let me see when exactly. Losing plot. Yeah, it was March 28th of 2024. So that was very recent. I remember that because it came out on day one, and I was not able to play it on that day, and I really wanted it. I preloaded it, so I really caught up with the game yesterday, and I will carry on playing it until I finish it. So far, so good. I don't know why people really found it to be not that good. And let me see. Well, the reviews I have here before me are just the positive ones, but I'm not sure what the other guys thought. If you are one of those guys who's not happy with Open Roads, then just send me a message. Make sure you tell me what you found particularly perturbing or not satisfying, as I thought that the characters were very interesting, well written. The relationship was as it should be, bit of a trouble relationship between a teenager and her mother, and then discovering family secrets is something that you always enjoy in that sort of environment. And for me, so far so good. Anyway, coming back to this, these are my indie games for today and for this week, I guess. And I'll just repeat the titles again, and I'll tell you, for anyone who's just joined us, what all of this was about. I'm telling you about indie games as I'm playing quite a few of them in view of that ID at Xbox presentation that came out on Monday, and thoroughly enjoyable, and with many new interesting games that will come our way. Almost 20 were introduced. I won't go into details as I had a whole podcast dedicated to them earlier in the week, so you could just rewind, go back to the playback and have a look. But a lot to look forward to. And the ones I tried yesterday, and I have to stress these were not introduced at the showcase event. These are the games that already have been on the Game Pass for a little while, and I'm just supporting the entire effort of the Xbox community, to which indie games are being given great exposure. They're being downloaded and they're being introduced to various gaming communities on Twitch and elsewhere. Very important for us to support these guys. They need your downloads, they need your likes, they need your follows in order to get greater exposure, in order to get embraced by the wider gaming community, and most importantly, to get supported by the investors in order to grow. So the games were A Short Hike, which I really liked. And then there was Citizen Sleeper, which didn't grab me. Chicory, A Colorful Tale, that I found to be very enjoyable. Celeste, quite tricky platformer with lots of different hurdles to overcome. Cassette Beasts, as I said, thoroughly lovable characters and great activities with tape recorders and all other kinds of gadgets which you will see in there, with very delightful and very funny fighting battle sequences where they turn into monsters and attack the other monsters who are being met in the wild, and all of that being done through tape recorders. and tape recorders that play tapes and record other monsters in order to give you extra powers. So I highly recommend that one. And then this adventure mystery thriller, a walking simulator, as they called it, Open Roads. Alright, so that's all about the indie games. So now is the time for us to be looking at what's new in the industry, the news. And this is what we do here every single day. I give you what's come on the wire and also talk about our community and what we do. I have been quite ill of late, and that's been taken away from my broadcasting, and I apologize to my community and all the other listeners for that. But I also had a lengthy period to which I had to be looking after my dad. He is 91 and he's been quite ill in recent months since last summer, so all of my time was being spent providing primary care and everything else that was necessary, and therefore there was no broadcasting, and I've been a bit out of the loop. Also have a new setup, which is making it very headachy for me. I like the streams to be as simple as possible, but all of this is making it a bit more complicated, and if I'm sounding a bit funny or it looks like I'm rambling or telling you something that's weird, well, that's all linked to the fact that I'm telling you something and I'm trying to resolve the technical issue which is popping up. I just told you that today I couldn't get access to the server through OBS. Earlier I was testing my new headset with a new mic, which indeed was performing differently on different platforms. That really incredibly annoyed me, so I'm not sure whether it was a good buy or not. We'll see. And you know, these kinds of things. And otherwise, what I also did do was to change the format of my channel, as we had podcasts and news all integrated in lengthy streams. I had like 5-6 hour streams of Destiny, Warzone, Apex, and we would be talking about all these things first, and then that'd be followed up by gameplay. So today what I have is separate sections, and each one of them is dedicated to a particular topic, a different subject. And we have gaming news in one format, then we have podcasts as the other, and then we have our gameplay as the third and final one, although probably the most popular amongst the three, amongst our community members and gamers overall. So really quite a few things came to us overnight, and I was telling you quite a bit about the indie games that I engaged with, and most notably these two were Pico Nico and Vampire Survivors. And Vampire Survivors is a very, very popular game, and you have many people in the industry playing it and loving it and recommending it to others. I yesterday watched this week's episode of well, it's the regular weekly podcast from Xbox team, and all of them are playing Vampire Survivors, indicating how entertaining and how addictive it appears to be. And I've got to agree with that. I think what's interesting is that the game, which is so simple, very, very basic in terms of its graphics, looks very much like the old Space Invaders, you know, very retro. And you don't have to do anything but move your character, because the character is firing off the action and shooting at the enemies all by himself or herself. And it's just all down to the skill, how you are going to be able to evade monstrously great numbers of vampires and ghouls chasing you, and you need to build a strategy that will be helping you one way or the other in order to survive as long as possible. So I did try it when the game came out, and I found it a bit frustrating because it's been killed quickly. But the other day when I was trying it more and playing it for a little while, I found that I did build some techniques that were helping, and I was able to survive for longer than 10 minutes. And that was, you know, quite a success, considering I usually die a lot of times in such games and not very good in fending off the enemies. I'm a kind of gamer that, you know, plays games for entertainment and nothing else, and obviously for our social gatherings and connectivity with other community members. And it's just great fun. The game is looking very basic, but its activities and the tasks are keeping you in suspense and definitely tied to the game for quite some time. So if you're interested, on my Twitter I have posted tips for Vampire Survivors coming from Game Rant, and it's got lots of different tips, and we'll just very quickly have a look at those that are being given to us. They said that knowing enemies is very important. You need to know how each enemy behaves, and the difference between the variants is the key when you are wanting to survive. So remember, because of Vampire Survivors, you need to be understanding how each enemy behaves and what they will be doing. Secondly, prioritize crowd control weapons. So you need to have a weapon that's adequate. Start with crowd control weapons early to handle large enemy swarms that appear around the 12-minute mark. Well, I don't think I've gone to 12 minutes. I have survived about 10.5 minutes at the longest. And you can also get some extra life, but it's hard to get that in the arena when you're being chased. So remember, you got to have weapons which will be giving you abilities to crowd control. And start with them early as possible in order to handle these massive big swarms coming your way. The third most important thing is unlock content as early as possible, and that will be to increase your chances of survival, unlock new characters, get new weapons, and also get passive items with every run and experiment with different combinations for better rates of success. So you need to experiment a bit, but you need to really stick to your rule and stick to your principles on how you are going to be running away from them and attacking at the same time. So, loads of other tips in there. And if you're interested, just make sure you go to my Twitter, and it will tell you, like for instance, save vacuum and rosary pickups. Save them because they're important for the gameplay. Learn the exploits. The exploits will give you greater knowledge on how to tackle the enemies. Know your enemy at all times. Learn that right from the beginning. Then go and prioritize crowd control weapons. You do that early, you will be a lot stronger than other guys. Then you go and have a look at your life bar. Your life bar is critical. You need to watch it at all times, must evade enemies, and must collect some extra life if at all possible. And then you have also the content that's locked. Play game a lot in order to collect everything and unlock it as early as possible. So that means, if you're hammering the game, you'll be unlocking everything rather rapidly. And also, before I forget, this game has very many great achievements. You're getting them at all times. They're unlocked very quickly, and if you really are chasing many of those with your gamer score or your trophies, well, that's definitely a game to play as soon as possible. And then also they said, don't be afraid to experiment. There's nothing to be afraid of in the game because you'll die in any case. And then get the most out of candy boxes. There are quite a few in the game. And then you need to maximize rerolls. Use rerolls to get required passive items. Well, remember that when you're doing Vampire Survivors. I've not done it, and I've got to say that puts me to shame. Also, use a controller, because the only thing you need to do is you need to move your character, nothing else. So that's really some of the tips, but there are several other interesting suggestions, and if you're interested, definitely go to my Twitter and have a look at the posting, which is linked to Vampire Survivors. We've heard from Push Square, in fact, that family-friendly level 5 boss, who had been making very, very nice family-based oriented games, and games like Professor Layton, Ni no Kuni, that I played on Xbox, very, very good game, entirely enjoyable, very family-friendly. Again, kind of a feel-good type of game, a bit like Spiritfarer and A Short Hike. And he also made Yokai Watch. He said recently, which surprised everyone, that he, after doing so many family-friendly games, and I got to say that they look very similar to the Japanese animated cartoons and films from the 1970s. I used to watch quite a few of these, and they're just like lovable characters, full stop. But he now wants to be kind of changing direction. He said he's interested in doing those games that will be both erotic and quite violent. So this is really surprising, and he confined in some of the presenters at Denfaminico Gamer. And he said, if I were to put it in extreme terms, I would go as far as to say that I want to make things like erotic games and 18+ games with violence. So, it's very interesting, isn't it? He is well known for family-friendly games, for all that he completed over the years with lovable characters and family-styled environments and, feel-good games. And he now wants to swing to some other extreme. So, interesting. And they said that it's not that surprising because Ni no Kuni dealt with some dark themes, but it's not quite the same. It's just changing direction and making the games a bit more suited for mature audiences. So that's interesting. And if any of these games come out, I will let you know if you're interested in that sort of activity. The best Tomb Raider, they said, had arrived to Xbox Game Pass. And have you tried it? Have you ever played it? That's obviously Tomb Raider, the Ultimate Edition. and it's arrived on Game Pass a couple of days ago. It's Definitive Edition, I beg your pardon. I mean, I keep mixing, Definitive, Superb, Brilliant, the Director's Cut, this and the other. It all sounds very similar, but the Definitive means that everything is in it. And the game has been just given to us, and it's almost 10 years ago, actually, that the game's come out. So it's quite, I don't think it was on the Game Pass before, but I have got it in any case. I purchased it about 8 years ago. So it's highly recommended. You really need to play it. It was originally released on Xbox 360, and then I remember playing it on 360, in fact. And you have so many interesting open world activities in there. This is one of those open world games where you really can explore everything, and you have lots of little side quests, and then you've collectibles which you need to be hunting and finding, and they're all scattered around this big island. So I not really look at it a proper open world game, but it does have many areas which you can be exploring, sometimes outside of the main quest. And then this map and the concept makes the game really highly enjoyable and greatly interactive to a degree. You have lots of tombs, lots of items which you will find lying around the place. And I think generally people said that the exploration in this open world was the game's strongest point, and maybe the story was somewhat weaker. But really doesn't really matter. I think if you go back in time, you look at the PlayStation 1 release of Lara Croft, you'd say that this is just an adventure game that is based on hectic activity more than you finding out or reading the journals about her past and history. So Tomb Raider Definitive Edition is now on the Xbox Game Pass, and if you're interested, just step in, have a look, and you will be thoroughly entertained. So we've today some news which in fact surprised me and maybe concerned me to a degree. Similar to Microsoft, Sony are now becoming a corporation that wants to be bringing in other big companies under the umbrella, and they have apparently given a sizable offer to Paramount. Paramount run streaming services as Paramount Plus, for instance, and the offer is of $26 billion. So $26 billion offered to them through Apollo Global Management in order to buy the entire Legendary Picture House Paramount. So now they've actually come up with contracts and terms, and the offer is at $26 billion. So in fact, if it goes through, then there will be IP for future collaboration. So Wall Street Journal is the publication that's giving us this information, and they said that this is really a very good offer, and I think they've received some of that in the past as well. And so it'd be interesting to see whether the bid will be accepted, because they also have quite a lot of other things on the plate which perhaps will be providing greater quality services. But Sony purchasing Paramount for $26 billion would be similar to what you had with some of the big gaming giants coming under the Microsoft umbrella, because Paramount Studios are massive, and anything to do with the live streams of television series or films, which they still have license for, will be benefiting Sony. As you could see, it's all going down into that direction. The big guys buying the small guys. Sad. Therefore, I think it's so important to support our independence. I mean, I lived independently all of my life, and I have to tell you, as I carry on, it gets more and more difficult every single day, and that's just the way. I guess it's because of the way the world, the systems and the ways to which the world is run today. It's becoming more difficult to be independent, and you've got to be dependent on this big entity that is going to be providing you with everything. And I'm not keen on that at all, but that's just the way things are today. And we've seen that in various areas of the industry. We've seen that in different sections of our everyday existence. And if you want to be completely independent and single-minded and run your own affairs according to your own principles, you will be facing many, many obstacles, I can tell you. But you've got to have enough stamina to get through it all. I mean, that's always been the case, but I think today it's getting harder. It's getting harder because it's more difficult to make any revenue. I find it staggering, and I've been to like Twitch headquarters and the Google headquarters and various other places, and when you see how many people work there as interns, is mind-boggling, honestly. And they work in a capacity just like any other professional who is based at those corporations. And you know, it's a new way. It's a new way through which this company is able to develop and flourish. I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong way, but it's just it's just the way it is. But being independent today, as you could see with the companies that are being coerced, I guess, into these partnerships with the big corporations, you're just telling you that without that marketing budget, without that capital, they can't be progressing. And that's similar to what you have with musicians and artists in other industries. They have got to be able to join those big guys under the umbrella in order to get that degree of exposure. Why is everyone going to be watching AAA blockbusters in cinema? Because they have got the global domination with adverts. Who's going to be playing a short hike or open world if they don't have any money for marketing campaign? It's just like that. I remember Sin City, when it came out first, had a massive marketing budget from Miramax, in fact, a company that's now gone. But you know why, I'm going to talk about it here live on air. Second film, because the director got in huge conflict with the lead producer, the owner of Miramax, didn't have any budget for promotion and absolutely fluked, and bombed at the box office. It's the same series, it's linked to the same graphic novel, same crew more or less, no marketing budget, and no exposure meant no audience. So that's the sad fact. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Let's just have a look at some of the news. We have XDefiant. Have you watched it? Have you watched the trailers during the last Xbox presentation? Well, they talked about it at length, and this game comes from Ubisoft, and it's been delayed quite a few times. And the reason for the consistent and continuous delays is based on multiplayer problems. They had many issues with the way the servers worked and the way they could sort of make it nice, smooth, like plain sailing when joining various crews. So that's the reason for that. And also they were kind of reworking some of the maps and strategies in view of other games that's popped up in recent months and years. So they said that they will have a release across major platforms: PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC. You'll have a 6 weeks or maybe even a bit longer pre-season before switching into a seasonal format, and then you will have 5 factions, 14 maps, and 5 modes at launch. So anyone who's into battle royale, survival games, PvP, well, that is going to be very interesting. They also are talking about beta. Let me see whether it is being mentioned in here. They'll be launching the game on May the 21st. And pre-season details, they've just stated this, like I told you. And then it will be on May the 21st at 10 AM Pacific and 1 PM Eastern. There's no word of beta, because I remember that was being talked about a little while back. Let me just see. No, they've not given us any indication if there is going to be a beta of XDefiant. But I'm curious, and I'd actually like to see beta for that. New Helldivers 2 Warband Polar Patriots is coming out on May the 9th. So that is a good bit of news. We are excited, and they're going to be called Polar Patriots, and it will give you new weapons, emotes, capes, and a lot more, inclusive of some firepower. And you have Tenderizer, you have Pamela, and you will have Purifier. It's all kinds of weapons that you get, secondary weapons, utility booster, and all other kind of goodies, inclusive of the armor and inclusive of some capes. So looking all very good, and that is all coming out on that date. That is on the May the 9th, and that's New Helldivers 2 Warband Polar Patriots. The Elder Scrolls are celebrating their 10-year anniversary. Have you played Elder Scrolls Online? Have you been to that wonderful big open world with so many different characters and so many participants? Well, you can be earning an all new house in Elder Scrolls Online for free, simply if you log in between May the 2nd and May the 31st. It's a whole month. And also you can earn house guests for completing in-game achievements. So that's really absolutely terrific. Let me see what they said. I got some information directly from ZeniMax. They have been... look at this. That's ridiculous. Bear with me a second. They're just asking us to put our dates and everything in there. It's not necessary, really, is it? I've registered with these companies to know my age and, you know... What can I tell you? Well, we've seen that there is a swing in video gaming towards more adult content everywhere, and I talked about Stellar Blade at some length the other day, and we can still have, and we're still watching presently on this bulletin, Stellar Blade slideshow. Guess why? Stellar Blade is the biggest selling game of the recent weeks, and one of the biggest games that one of the biggest releases that PlayStation had in recent years, and absolutely embraced by the community. It's just completely taken the world by storm. But there has been controversy attached to the way the lead character comes across, and there's been some questions about eroticism and sexualization of the protagonist, and the emphasis on the appearance. And that is something that is happening in many different games. I've got to say, I watched some trailers on Xbox channel yesterday, and I just felt that quite a few of these characters were sexualized, and they came across as sort of pertinent on that erotic side in view of their design, and evidently something that will be drawing attention and helping the marketing campaign. So yeah, I can understand that they want to be screening the age of participants, but at the same time, you have to question whether that is going to be like carrot and stick for people to come in. At the end of the day, what's most important is the content, the quality of the game which you are pursuing and playing. On the other hand, I want to say I played Skyrim. It's the anniversary edition, special edition, you know, one of the biggest ones. It's got everything inclusive of the mods. And then I said to myself, well, just for fun of it all, let's just enable these adult mods to see what the game's going to look like. And the game looked just completely different. It was a bit like walking into a weird giallo horror film from 1960s, early 70s from Italy, you know, like, what's his name? Mario Bava's films, or Jesus Franco of Spain. And a really completely different aura around the characters and the environment. So many caped female protagonists walking around scantily clad and, you know, hardly dressed, and it was just really weird. And it's interesting that the mods in Skyrim could really do that. But at the end of the day, I think this is certainly a perspective that many of these companies are pursuing, because they know that type of lead character, or the way through which you can customize them, will be attracting a lot of attention. Don't forget, we play video games and we look up to certain characters because we want to be just like them. It's entering that fantasy world. You know, the reason as to why big film stars were created in the early 1920s and then later in the 30s, exactly to do with the fact that everybody who went to cinema looked up to them and felt, that's just amazing. I want to be like that. And they were not real people, you know, they were made up, and their private lives were greatly protected by the studios because they wanted to be selling that fantasy image, the beautifulized, projected image of oneself that would be then directed at that film star. Just try to think how many people today, well, in my local area, have like dyed green hair that look like Billie Eilish, you know? She's like a fantastic role model for very many young females. So it is that which captures the elements that the industry wants to be protecting, preserving, and then later ensuring that these elements would be producing certain kinds of sales and gravitating towards greater attention amongst worldwide audiences. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's the way it is. And video gaming is very much swinging towards film industry. And I should say they're becoming like a merger of the two, as you've seen recently with television series of The Last of Us and recently Fallout, created and presented to huge success. It's unbelievable, really, what happened with Fallout and how well the show was received, and how the sales of all games skyrocketed. It's just fantastic. But as I said, Don't forget the element of the desired image of oneself, the beautifulizing oneself, will be present in the games as they carry on, start progressing, and specifically as we have now the tech that is making it possible for the characters to look very close to real life, which was not possible in a not so distant past. Anyway, coming back to Elder Scrolls Online, we want to see what goodies we are going to be getting. So let me see what... basically, they're celebrating 10 years of Elder Scrolls Online. The other series has been around for a lot longer, as you know, almost 3 decades. And let me just see, you collect your daily login rewards, you can host friendly house guests and build up on your endeavors. And are they saying anything else in terms of what we are getting? And you can do all of this from the beginning of May to the end of the month. So let's see. Yeah, continues until Friday the 31st, 2024. And just pick up the all-new free Sword Singers Readout House and all the other goodies. So that's really what they're giving you. Daily login rewards. And there'll be small transitions to different parts of the map. And you can claim the Necrom Guard Mirazo house guest. And this guest's going to be available in Crown Store, and then you can also claim the Alchemy house guest free. So quite a lot of choice really on what you want to, who you want to be choosing to be your partner. And then you have daily and weekly endeavors, and you will have more frequently features challenges, which are kind of connected to housing, and you get more rewards, placing furnishings, all sorts. So really, basically, instead of me telling you all about this, why not just get in there, log in, go to Elder Scrolls Online, also available through Xbox Game Pass for free, and then find it for yourself, collect any of the goodies that they offer. I generally quite like collecting anniversary goodies. These ones really stay there for a very long period of time, and they... like collectibles, like you go onto an auction, you find something that is rare, and sometimes you really want to be, showing off. You want to display your, 20, 30 anniversary gear, 10-year anniversary gear, and I know that we certainly did that in Destiny, and within our community we had collected and bought quite a lot of those items. So it's really super cool when you see the whole crew there wearing the anniversary gear, and it's not going to be easily accessible, I swear, and sometimes you need to purchase it if you want to have it in your possession. It depends on the developer, depends on the game, but still, I find it very, very enjoyable to collect some of these items. And I really apologize for this. I don't have a kind of a button for which I can mute this mic, and I need to work out a strategy through which I'll do something so that the mic can be muted, because I don't want to be doing what I'm doing at the moment with my voice being slightly croaky and affected by the ear infection, so that you can hear when I'm trying to clear my throat or anything of that sort. I apologize, but I mean, it's a completely new setup. I need to really work around that in order to get something else that will provide me with a better capacity to mute, so I can do things which I do not want others to hear. So from PC Gamer, we heard that Cyberpunk 2077, they say that they went all out on the memorial to Johnny Silverhand's nuclear attack, and then they found that bosses just expected a commemorative plaque. So let's see what they tell us about that. I love Cyberpunk. I played it for a while. I don't own it, so therefore I've not completed the game. But what really excites me about Cyberpunk is it's been affecting many different members of our social networking community, and particularly so in the area of cosplay and virtual photography. I'm not sure whether you followed any of these guys on Twitter, but it's just absolutely tremendous number of those mouth-watering images where people model themselves on the Cyberpunk characters. They create photography that sort of blends in with the images and with the environment of that game. Today I reposted about 2 or 3 of those who are amongst my contacts, and just really absolutely terrific. I think really so good to see that a game can become like a major social networking influencer, or a fashion influencer. In fact, I have seen people wearing certain outfits that resemble Cyberpunk in real life, as well as tattoos and various other decorations and weird hairstyles. So it's highly significant, and make sure you support some of these content creators that do that. It's very difficult and time consuming to produce that sort of outfit, and definitely thanks to CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk. So they said that bombing of Araska Tower in 2053 was a massive moment in Cyberpunk lore, and they had like a key inciting event that it was going to make the whole plot of Cyberpunk 2077 possible. So, what's happening here with the mic? And then, after the blast, right next to the Araska Tower, there is going to be a memorial in stark black blocks. So, one of the guys from CD Projekt Red, and he is the lead artist, Krzysztof Konatka, talked to Play Magazine, and he said that the memorial was something of the directors, something that one of the directors really wanted to have, and kind of told him that he wanted it created. And this was at a time when they worked on the Araska area of Night City, and it was just simple something that will be commemorating the explosion of the main Araska headquarters in 2023. So he got to it, and he liked the elements of The Demolition Man, a film with Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock from the 90s, and he kind of based some of the design on the items and parts which he had seen in the film. And then only later he realized that his superiors wanted commemorative plaque somewhere on the side of the building rather than this sort of somber monolith. So it's interesting. Anyway, it's a good. It's certainly a very, very interesting approach that he had, and he wanted to make sure that the activity was more visible as he carried on and immortalized through these kinds of monolithic monuments. But sometimes other people involved with the game, particularly those with the revenue, have some other ideas. So we have 2 games offered through Xbox as free plays this weekend, and one of them is a massive big game of Electronic Arts, and it is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think lots of people in recent months have been complaining that the freebies were the games that you have in any case on Game Pass. So what's the idea? Whilst in the past we had lots of games offered to us that otherwise were just in Microsoft Store, right? So not connected to the Game Pass, i.e. you couldn't have free access on a subscription. But in recent times it's gone the other way, and I'm really concerned about this because I always previously played these games, downloaded them, also presented them here live on air, and it's gone now into the promotion of Game Pass more than anything else. Nevertheless, still a very good offer. You have Star Wars Jedi Survivor that still needs to play, and it had arrived to Game Pass about a week ago. And then we have Headbangers and Headbangers Rhythm Royale, the game I've not played but had heard quite a lot about. So if you're interested, you want to try these games, and you're not a subscriber to the Ultimate, you're not on the Game Pass, then you have these games for free this weekend on Xbox. And I've heard from both pure Xbox as well as from Tom Warren that xCloud Gaming is adding the ability to manage and save files to Xbox, and I think that's also tied in with easier change of Wi-Fi connection. And they want, you heard that they really integrated new app with Samsung TV set, so people didn't have to buy a console in order to access the Game Pass. If you bought a Samsung TV, it's got an inbuilt app that is giving you Game Pass for free, and they want that app and the television integration to work as smoothly as possible, which I think has not been the case so far. So we heard this news about dynamic backgrounds, and then we heard also that presently the guys who are on the Xbox Insiders are being treated to another very neat feature, and this is connected to cloud gaming. And Tom Warren is the person who's talked about that. So I spotted this. Actually, I get this news every single day, and he said that some of the members of Insider Program are able to directly manage save files on the devices like Samsung TV and also on web browsers, and that was giving them a lot more flexibility if they wanted to be doing cloud gaming outside of the Xbox consoles. I really agree that that's exactly what it is, and I really think that Phil Spencer is doing a great job by making sure that the games are accessible everywhere. They need to make sure that cloud and all the services that Xbox offers are also accessible globally in every country on the planet, and that's still not the case. You go to Europe, for instance, go to any country on the continent, and they do not have their cloud support for the vast majority of them. So if you are a subscriber to the Ultimate and you get your cloud and everything in Britain, like myself, if I go to another country, I can't access most of the services. It's ridiculous, obviously, depending on whether that country will have them fully supported by Microsoft. You go to Germany or France, you will do, but you go to smaller countries, you go to Croatia, Slovenia, Hungary, they never heard of anything like it there, because there is no Xbox services live, and it's only recently they introduced Game Pass for PC for those countries, so 36 countries that were included, and it's like a pilot project. So I think it's all well and fine to be enabling it to be accessible everywhere, but just think about other countries, not just about the US and maybe half dozen or those other in the developed world. We want people in Central Africa or Southeast Asia to be able to access any of these services at any time, and certainly considering that China and India have 3 billion people of the inhabitants when if joined together, it'd be great to see that in some of those places you can actually access cloud and Microsoft Game Pass as well. Anyway, just I'm rambling a bit, but these are the thoughts I have as I experienced a lot of frustration when traveling, where my own UK-based British account cannot be accessed properly with full services in those other countries, and that included also Microsoft rewards points. If you do them every day, suddenly you go to another country, you can't have any of them because none of that works. Coming back to this, it's the introduction of these save files on various devices like Samsung TV and web browsers, and they said they're trying to help you to get out of a bad spot, and then you can start your game all over again. That's when you're playing on Xbox Cloud Gaming. There have been complaints that when you play it on cloud, you get crashes, but that is, I had lots of problems on Xbox One, but ever since I migrated to the next-gen console, I wasn't getting any crashes at all. And also it was down to the internet speed. So if you're one of the guys who's having these problems, you've got to find out whether it's your internet speed that's causing it. The new consoles, they use huge amount of bandwidth, and you've got to be having very ultra-fast internet. So if you're using the old-style broadband, on copper wiring, the cloud on console or computer is not going to work. It's just the way it is. And it's interesting. I thought it was just my internet, but I watched Digital Foundry podcast few months ago, where the guys who run it, and they're top-notch IT and game industry experts, they said they're having problems themselves because they live in those areas where they cannot access the ultra-fast internet, and therefore those services are complete, obsolete for them. They can't use them at all. So remember that if you're having that sort of problem. Okay, so that's about the game saves on other platforms. Let's have a look. Some games that are coming to Xbox as well. Talk a lot about Game Pass, but lots of news coming from Microsoft. I guess they're all preparing for their big showcase in June, and therefore we are getting all these novelties, niceties thrown our way. We have Kona 2 Broom, and I'm very excited about Broom, as I love the original Kona, which is a detective mystery game based in Canada, early 70s, very retro style. If you like films from the early 70s, you just love the game. You drive around, you keep it's a point and click, so you kind of explore different areas. You walk through the woods, you pick up inventory, stuff that goes into inventory, and great. And Kona will be arriving to Xbox consoles, to the Game Pass, on May the 7th. So that's only about 4 days away. Excellent. I will preload and I'll play it. So remember, Kona, if you like the first one, this is the sequel called Kona 2 Broom, arriving to your console on the May the 7th. The best offer of the day, and maybe of the week, is Mass Effect Legendary Edition, offered on a price of $5.99, €5.99, or £4.99, 90% off. So if you are a fan of Mass Effect and you have it on your Xbox or PlayStation, definitely do not miss this offer on Steam, because $4.99 or $5.99 at the dollars or pounds for this sort of quantity of gameplay you'll get with the trilogy is just simply unbelievably cheap, and it's the best offer I've seen for a long while. I in fact got it on Xbox recently when offered on a price of, if I'm not mistaken, it was either $6.99 or $7.99, and I thought, well, that's just an offer I cannot refuse. It's just too good. But I can see that at the moment, if you are to be getting it for your PC, you'll get it even £3 cheaper. $4.99 is, I guess, well, it's the price you pay for one coffee and a sandwich, right? So you absolutely must go there and buy it. It's a no-brainer. I'll say it again. $5.99, €5.99, or £4.99 for Mass Effect Legendary Edition on Steam, active and accessible right now. So we've heard from Ryan McCaffrey about what I mentioned, and that is that Sony will be purchasing Paramount. The offer was $26 billion is already given, but I won't be actually giving you any details. If you're interested in what Ryan said, Ryan is one of the main people at IGN, does regular weekly podcast and show, internet-based show called Unlocked. I watch it every single week. It's very, very illuminating. It's really very good guests, and he is giving his verdict on all this. Let me just quickly have a look and see what he said, what his thoughts really are. It's all come out of Wall Street Journal and New York Times, like I said before, and I was wondering whether he is very keen. Well, not really. He's just giving you the facts. He's not even given his own view. I guess my personal view is it becomes dangerous where the biggest are in position to buy literally everything. Then you have no independence, you have no diversity or variety, and you will be reminded, if you're familiar with film history, how things were in the 1930s and the early 40s, where the big studios were owners of everything: production, distribution, and exhibition. Everything. They owned cinemas, they owned distribution companies, they owned the production. And then in America, they have voted for that to be stopped. And they introduced a new law which had to be separating these three divisions from one another. And therefore, you had a major development of two industries of exhibitors and distributors being built and massively developing, ascending on the side and outside of those equations with studios. And I think this is something that we are likely to see in the future. But at the moment, we are having it's still very initial stages of that rapid development of the video game industry altogether. And the way I see it today is that the big studios, the big corporations like Microsoft, they are in position like what MGM or Warner Brothers were then. Basically own everything. And there will come a point where the industry will say, this is just not competitive enough. Just bear with me, my voice is gone. and that is certainly of concern to everyone, because we want to have diversity, we want to have competition, we want to have, first of all, different companies retaining the degree of independence in order to provide interesting games with exciting content that will be then flourishing everywhere. The difficulty with everything being part of one big corporation is that they will have their own specific interest that will have to justify major investments, through marketing campaigns and everything else, and therefore that degree of creativity may not be allowed to be growing. THQ Nordic, a company that I really like, and a company that produced many games in the 90s that I played on PC, are giving us their showcase event in the course of this year. It's called THQ Nordic Digital Showcase, and it will be coming to us on August the 2nd. So they'll be giving all of the new announcements, they'll be giving exciting updates on Gothic 1 Remake, Titan Quest 2, and a lot more. So mark this date. That is August the 2nd of 2024, THQ Nordic Showcase event. I was telling you a bit about Don't Nod earlier, and their new Lost Records game that is going to be released shortly, and they just reminded me of the fact that Josang, the game that they released last year, is still up and about and still very popular, and that they are releasing the music, which is beautiful, from that game on vinyl. So you can be buying the soundtrack if you're keen, if you played it on your 12-inch, and it will be serving you very, very well. I can see also on those pictures that it's a colored vinyl, so it could be either blue or green or pink or mauve, depending on which one you like the best, and all the colors are part and parcel of the game. So you can get it just by going to Don't Nod, and you can pre-order directly from them. And I've seen also from Tom Warren something I had not expected, that Sea of Thieves, a game that was exclusive to Xbox, is now on PlayStation. And some of the bosses talked recently about several formerly known as Xbox exclusives. The titles will be migrating to PlayStation. They did not state which games these were going to be, but Phil Spencer, that is, the Xbox boss, did say in recent interviews he doesn't believe in the concept of exclusive per console. He feels that that's something which is outdated, and the games today, in order to gain greater prominence, attract more viewers and gamers, and generally to be, I guess, financially as profitable as expected, would have to be going through cross-platform all access and cross saves and cross-play. That will be the next step, and he was very categoric that cross-save and cross-play and cloud access are critical for the development of many titles in the near future. So you could see some of those titles are migrating. Sea of Thieves was proprietary to Xbox, and now it is indeed on PlayStation. So interesting to see. They said that Fallout 4 is selling very, very well. It is near the very top of the top 10 on PlayStation. And if you want to be getting Fallout 3 for free, if you want, that's still seen as one of the best Fallout games, you can get it through Amazon, and that's Amazon Prime. If you're not a member of Amazon Prime, you absolutely need to sign up, because on Prime you're getting free games and various other goodies every single month in abundance. And I've been claiming various goodies from them already for quite a number of years. In fact, Amazon Prime was more popular with PC gamers, and you're getting very many of those things directly delivered to your PC. So just make sure that you do not forget to claim your free Fallout 3 through Amazon Prime, and you can play it on your PC or laptop in the same way as I'd claim my Fallout 76 on all platforms, again offered for free, and in the same way as I claimed my Fallout 3 from Amazon in order to play, if I wanted to, on my PC or laptop. I never played actually Fallout on, stand corrected, the first two I did play on my PC, because guess why? They were original PC games. The first console Fallout was this one, Fallout 3, that came out halfway through the notice, and I played it extensively on Xbox 360. Okay, what else do we have here? We have some news about from Bethesda, and this is about Fallout 76 Skyline Valley update. They said that it is available through public test server, and it has been updated to include the main story content for the new region, and you can be testing the new quest content straight away, and then they're asking for everyone to share their feedback. You will know that Fallout 76 and updates have been very buggy and glitchy, and that's the reason as to why they're trying to rope in as many people as possible to do the tests and reviews. So we heard from Blizzard that today, in fact, there will be a Diablo developer update, and this is going to be the major live stream. So if you're interested, in about 1 hour 28 minutes, so that's about 90 minutes from now, let's see what it is, that'll be 7 o'clock 1900 hours UK time, you can be watching it live, and you'll get a proper big full-blown presentation from the developer, and they'll be telling you all about the Season 4 Loot Reborn. If you're a Diablo player, then you will be very, very interested in that, and make sure you catch it either live at 7 PM UK time or watch it on playback. Make sure you do watch it at any time, as it will give you a lot of information, all that is to come your way from Diablo team. I will not be able to do that myself today, but definitely quite curious and interested to see what they've got to say for themselves. The seasons have been very, very positively received, and you know, looking forward to everything that will come from them. A great game as well. Some people who were very dedicated to the original Diablo 2 still have some bees in bonnet about Diablo 4 and 3, but I really find both these games to be very good, and the best play together with your mates, a bit like Destiny, remember that. What else have we got here? Lots of news about XDefiant, but told you all about this. You have new shader icons, and they're being updated, and that's in Destiny, and that all will be coming away in the final shape, and they want to create outfits and armor that I guess will be kind of which will be tied in with the future development of Destiny Saga. And I'm just watching one hunter in there with these new shaders, and he looks significantly different. So look forward to seeing that in practice. These images have been given to us via various online hubs, and we just need to see whether they actually get fully materialized through Bungie. For all of you who are Destiny veterans and fans, This Week in Destiny came out yesterday, and they are telling us basically what we can endure in the course of next 7 days. So you have PvP map pack, which is launching on May the 7th. You have the Pantheon boss profiles and Bungie rewards, which is what we were discussing here 2 days ago. Master Rahul updates preview, shader UI revamp preview, and then you have special ammunition updates from the PvP strike team, and that will be definitely of interest to very many. So for more information on This Week in Destiny, like always, head to Bungie, go to news, and then click on This Week in Destiny, and you'll get all the information. We talked about this already early in the week, so I will not go through that. And I think that's probably it for today, my friends. Lots of news, and certainly lots of gameplay from my end here with these indie games. I hope you will be trying out, if not those which are recommended, but then certainly some other titles that's available on Xbox Game Pass. Just remember, at the end of the day, those people work so hard in order to produce interesting games which are created with minimal resources. And, I just personally feel that we, owe them a debt of gratitude for the hard work, for their passion, for the dedication, for everything they invested in that title, which turns out to be less well known and obscure as they don't have any marketing budgets. But then you see some of those games now emerging on these streaming platforms, and make sure that every time that these games pop up, at least you stream them, and if not, download. They don't occupy much space on your console or your PC, but make sure that you're giving them some support. Some love will be greatly appreciated, and play them. You'll enjoy them. These games are usually not massive compared to Mass Effects and Fallouts of this world. They can be finished in anything between 6 to 12 hours, if not even within a short period of time than that, and you will have a lot of fun. These games are very entertaining, and they provide you with a lot of interesting activities. And if you do not have the highest possible quality graphics, you will have a phenomenally well written script with funny dialogue, well built characters, interesting situations, plenty of mysteries to unravel and to resolve. You'll have a lot of fun, and therefore I recommend everyone to download some of these games. Like I said today, the ones I played grabbed me, the vast majority. The only one that I didn't particularly, well, maybe it's not too much, I wouldn't say I didn't particularly enjoy, but it's a game that seemed very complicated. It required a lot of reading and learning prior to any form of access to the sort of main section of the activity, was Citizen Sleeper. But I know that some people loved it, and particularly those people who are great fans of sci-fi literature and sci-fi novels. But for myself, my recommendations will go for A Short Hike, for Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Celeste, Cassette Beasts being the best out of 5, and then for Open Roads, which I also played last night. So these were the indie games I talked about, and once again, at the end of my podcast, I will just recommend you. May of 2024 is the month which is dedicated to mental health awareness. So in a mental health awareness month, we have got to be concerned, and we need to give attention to those people in our communities who are needing it the most, and those who are vulnerable, people who are suffering from any form of mental illness, emotional pressure, or any other kind of psychological trauma, people who require professional assistance and are receiving help with counseling or psychotherapy, and or indeed taking spending time in hospital because the illness had really advanced. We need to make sure that we spend time giving attention and giving, if we're in position to do so, some donations to charities that are providing these very, very valuable services to those people in our community who actually need them the most. So we run a campaign for Mind, and Mind is a UK-based charity that does exactly that, offering services in terms of counselling and practical advice to people who are suffering from mental health issues. So make sure you click on my panels, and these panels are on the About page, and then you can just donate. By donating, you're helping those charities, and you're making sure that those charities can select more people in the future, maybe get new offices, expand, and most importantly to remain operational so they can continue delivering those professional services for everyone in our community who feels that indeed they will need that degree of assistance or help. So yet again, say we are running a charitable campaign here, a charitable fundraising campaign here on the channel. By clicking on these panels, you get access to Tiltify, and then you can donate as little or as much as you want. And that is the way to support both those people who are very vulnerable, who live in our communities, and also those charities, in addition to being an active participant in the Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of May of 2024, and also being an active participant in the process to which you save lives. There's nothing more noble than that. Remember that. Nothing more noble than being able to participate in the process where you save other people's lives. Remember that. Subscribe, support, donate, and then help our charities. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting my charitable fundraising campaign. I wish you all a very good night, and I shall see you all tomorrow.